Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your favorite YouTuber, Sasuke Uchiha, back with another video. I know I haven't really been uploading for a while, guys. I'm just trying to finish off decks. Right now, this may look similar, but it is actually a new deck, or at least a new deck list. I promise you it's not the same old shit that I've been doing for the longest. Anyway, so, as you guys could have already told by the title, this is my Buster Blader Fallen of Albaz deck list. And the reason why I call it that is because it's basically or just basically a Buster Blader deck with the Fallen of Albaz engine inside of it. Not the Despia Albaz engine or the Despia branded engine. It's just the Fallen of Albaz engine, or just the branded engine, however you want to call it. Anyway, so yes, this is the first time that I am using a side deck, and let's get into this video. So I want to give a special shout out to some of my friends. Ruben Gonzalez, he helped me with getting the idea, and some of my group members in one of the groups that I was in, they also helped me figure out what to do and how to do it and all that other stuff. But this is a little bit weird because it utilizes other cards that don't really belong in the deck, but are just basically decent. So starting off, of course, we have the three Buster Whelps. I know you can hardly see it, so you're basically looking at the you're basically looking at what's it called, the first one. But yes, there are three Buster Whelps here. When you normal summon this card, you basically get the chance to search from your deck a destruction sword card, and once per turn, and only once that turn, you can utilize one of the other two abilities, which is tribute this card and special summon one Buster Blader from your hand or graveyard. Or if this card is in your graveyard and you control a Buster Blader, you can discard one destruction sword and special summon this card. So this card is actually pretty good. It is three of. You always have to have three of this. It's regardless of what you think, it's always a three of. Let's put that off to the side real quick. Next, you're running two Dragon Buster. I see a lot of people running three or one. It's just depending on you how much you want to run. But I run two because I feel like three is too bricky. But two is just like a right number. You don't always pull into it, but you can easily search it out, with your Buster Whelp. And if everything just goes well, you just have the right hand. This card is essential mainly because all it does is cut your opponent off from the extra deck when it is equipped to your Buster Blader, and you could just basically equip it from your hand, unequipped it, special, either in face-up attack or defense, it don't really matter, and just synchro off. So this card is extremely good, and like if your opponent's running a deck that basically in their deck say that they have to rely so much on their extra deck, or it's heavily relied on the extra deck, this card is just basically extremely good to use and extremely powerful to use. And then again, you can get it out with your Buster Dragon from the graveyard by equipping it. So it has a way to it has a essential way to be recycled. That's always good. Next, and the next two Destruction Sword cards are your Robot Buster and your Wizard Buster. Your Robot Buster, you only run one. I'm citing two, which you'll see later on. But I main only one of each because I don't want to see them as much, but they're good to just come across. So, Robot Buster, they're both basically the same thing as your Dragon Buster, but there's only one exception. With your with your Robot Buster, it cuts your opponent off of spells and trap cards while okay, so basically it cuts your opponent off of their spells and trap cards that are already face up on your opponent's side of the board. And if you detach this card, you basically make your Buster Blader gain 1,000 attack, which is the card equipped with this card, an additional 1,000 attack, so that actually helps out a lot. Hold on, guys, hold on. Oh my god. So with this card, you basically get So basically, with this card, your Wizard Buster Destruction Sword, when it's detached from your Buster Blader or whatever you have it equipped to, you basically get the ability to add a Destruction Sword card back from the graveyard, except itself. So basically, if you're trying to recycle, you can bring back, say, your Robot Buster, your Dragon Buster, or your Buster Whelp. It really doesn't matter, or any of the spell cards or trap cards, because that also helps out. But you don't normally add your trap cards back. And then again, the other ability of this card, when it's equipped to a Buster Blader, it basically cuts your opponent off from their graveyard. So basically, they cannot activate cards in their graveyards. Will actually activate while this card is equipped to a monster. Monsters in your opponent's graveyard cannot activate their effects. So basically, it just cuts you off from monster graveyard abilities, like any deck out there that would have monster graveyard abilities. Going into your next card, you run one Buster Blader, the Dragon Destruction Swordmaster. He basically counts as a Destruction Sword card and a Buster Blader card, but he counts as a Buster Blader while face up on the field or in the graveyard. We don't really use this card that much. I know people say that he's extremely good or whatever, but I hardly ever bring this guy out to the board. I normally mill him to use him for Memory's ability. I'm not really going to get into that one because that one's just, to me, is just annoying every once in a while. I do run 3 Buster Bladers. I know a lot of people say to, oh, run 2 of your Destruction Swordmaster and run 2 Buster Blader, or run 1 Buster Blader and 3 of this guy. No. The reason why I run 3 of him is because he's the main kahuna that you want to go to. He's the main guy that is listed on every other card effect in the deck. So, regardless of what people say about this guy, even though he's in your hand, you're not really going to be able to use his ability unless he's on the field. Or you're not going to be able to use him for anything unless he's on the field or in the graveyard, or unless the card effect that you're using says a Buster Blader card. So that's why we run basically 3 Buster Bladers. And then again, the attack boost of 500 is perfect, you know. And then again, with this deck, even if your opponent is not running a dragon deck, you basically get the ability to just go ahead and make your opponent's monsters into dragons, and then use this guy's ability for your own, which is actually pretty good and decent, but you have to know how to use that combo very well. That's all for the Buster Blader monsters, or for the main core of the Buster Blader side. Going into the Fallen of Albaz monsters, we're only running 2 Fallen of Albaz. If you don't already know what this card does, and you haven't seen any videos as to what this card does, I'll read it to you. If this card is normal or special summoned except during the damage step, you can discard 1 card from this card. Discard 1 card. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters on either field as fusion material, including this card. But you cannot use other monsters you control as fusion material. You can only use this effect of Fallen of Albaz once per turn. This is a really good card. I don't really understand certain things, but basically, with this card, you just get a fusion summon using 1 monster on, like this card, on your board, and then 1 monster your opponent controls to bring out a fusion monster, which is actually pretty intense and pretty insane, but it's still extremely good. And with this deck, I think it has a lot more potential, because if your opponent is dumb enough to resurrect one of your Buster Blader cards, it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to activate this, discard, I'm going to normal summon this one, activate its effect, discard 1 card, fuse this card, and your Buster Blader that your opponent stole from your graveyard using Monster Reborn or Back to the Front or whatever, and then basically bring out the Fusion Buster Blader and screw your opponent over. Now, 2 cards that I run in here for just basic spicy tech is Rocket Tracer and Magna Rocket Dragon. Now, you may be asking why. The only reason being is because, well, it's just It's just basically something that just helps out. And then again, with Rocket Tracer Dragon, I can use this one's ability to just destroy one of my So basically, I get the ability to just destroy one monster that I control using Rocket's ability, special summon this guy from my deck, and then just go off into a synchro of 8, and it helps me get out my my monsters a lot quicker, which is actually very good. Don't get me wrong, but you know, it's just for now as a whatever card. We are running the small Dragoon package, you know, just one Dark Magician and one Red Eyes Black Dragon. I really, really love the gold rare and the artworks, but I think there's a different artwork for Red Eyes Black Dragon that I like even better than this one. And also for Dark Magician, but this is what I have to work with for now, and this is the best I'm going to get so far, so, well, it's better to have something than nothing. But obviously, you know, these two are just only for the Dragoon package. We are running a Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon only due to the fact that it just comes in handy with bringing back your dragons. I mean, you are running a lot of dragons in this deck, even though it seems like you're not, and this card just becomes extremely insane after a while. You also have Red Eyes Wyvern. The reason why we're running Red Eyes Wyvern is just to pop off on Insight. Insight's ability, send this card to the graveyard, add your Red Eyes Fusion if you do not already open up with Branded Fusion to help you get out your Dragoon. But this card's also good because with it you could basically banish it from your graveyard and resurrect one of your Red Eyes monsters. Sorry about the background noise, guys. I am taking care of a nephew right now. Anyway, we do have Keeper of Dragon Magic in this deck, only due to the fact that he you get to discard one card from this card and add one fusion card from your, well, add one polymerization or fusion. Add one polymerization normal spell card or one fusion normal spell card from your deck to your hand. You can also reveal one monster from your extra deck and special summon one of the fusion materials whose name is specifically listed. I'm sorry, guys, I can't really sit still real quick, so try to bear with me. Whose name is specifically listed on that monster from your graveyard in face down defense position. Basically, this is just, I feel like this is another variation of Predaplant Verte Anaconda, seeming how we lost Anaconda, and this just basically helps you search out either your Red Eyes Fusion or your either your Red Eyes Fusion or your Branded Fusion, whichever may come first, and it just helps out entirely. That's all for your monsters. Your monster portion is the beefiest portion of the deck, which a lot of people really trip about. A lot of people really question me, like, why do you run so many monsters and not enough spells or traps or whatever. Anyway, moving forward, for the only two but Destruction Sword spell cards that we actually run in the deck is one Destruction Swordsman Fusion and Karma of the Destruction Swordsman. Karma of the Destruction Swordsman, we mainly use it only for the ability to target up to 3 monsters of the same type in your opponent's graveyard, banish them, and if you do this, banish them, and if you do one Buster Blader monster or one Destruction Sword monster you control gains 500 attack and defense for each of those banished monsters. So basically, it's just a power up for your Buster Blader or your Destruction Sword, and you get to just, if it's in your grave, and that only lasts until the end of this turn. But if this card is inside your graveyard, you can target. Well, basically, you could discard one card and then add this card from your graveyard back to your hand. I'm sorry guys, I know I'm stuttering a lot. Please forgive me. I haven't done this in a while. It's going to take me time to get used to it, okay? Thank you for your understanding. Anyway, and then your Destruction Swordsman fusion is just basically there in case, you know, your Destruction Swords memory or your Branded fusion or any of your branded cards don't really help you out in the end, and you just need a quick way to fusion summon during your opponent's turn to cut your opponent off from activating his effects if he's running a dragon deck or if you already have your Buster Dragon on the board. So this card really helps out in the end.
It's $100 on a TCG.
I'm making a video, and okay. So going off into the only branded spell cards that we run is 3 branded fusions, and it's really, well, it's you should already know what branded fusion does. And thanks to, of course, Arakashi, who's over there getting mad because I'm making a video right now and she's trying to tell me something. Well, this card basically helps you out. Well, I need to stop saying that. Why do I keep saying that? This card helps you out. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. I'm really out of my mind right now. So, this card, if you can fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck, fusion summon 1 fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material from your extra deck, and using 2 monsters from your hand, deck, field, or field as fusion material. You cannot special summon monsters from your extra deck or from the extra deck except fusion monsters the turn you activated this card. So basically, if you bring out an Exe, Synchro, or Link, or a Pendulum monster from the extra deck, you basically cannot activate this, is what my guess is. But this card really helps you get into a lot of other things, and it really just basically is a really good fusion card. Again, sorry about the background. We're watching over my nephew, and hold on real fast, guys. Hold on. I hate doing this, but it is what it is. I'm sorry about that, guys. Every once in a while I do have my hands full. So, yeah, it basically, the branded fusion is just another way of fusioning out something instead of like having to use polymerization or anything like that. We also have 1 red ice fusion. I used to run it at 2, which I thought was really good, and it really is. You never want to see it at 3. 2 is okay. It's pretty good at 2. But if you're running the branded engine, you want to run 3 branded fusions and 1 red ice fusion. And the only reason why we run red ice fusion is because if we don't draw into our branded fusion, we could easily get Dragoon out with this card instead of having to use the branded fusion or any of your other fusion monsters. We do have 1 red ice insight to search out your red ice fusion. If you drew into this, you didn't have your branded fusion in hand, or you can't really search it out because you don't have Dragon Keeper or Dragon Magic, your red ice insight comes in handy to get your red ice fusion on the quicks. We have our Monster Reborn as extra insurance in case, you know, like they destroy your Dragoon, and you already, like, say they destroyed it for a second time, you just Monster Reborn it and it comes back. Like, you basically, Monster Reborn is just pretty good in getting out almost any monster. If you want to steal a monster from their graveyard, Monster Reborn's your way to go. Yep. We're running 1 for 1 to get out your Buster Whelp or your Dragon Buster a lot quicker. That's the only reason why we run 1 for 1. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in the deck. The reason why we run 1 fusion. We run 1 Foolish Burial. The reason why we run 1 Foolish Burial is just because it's a really good dumping card. Like, you just discard, or you get a mill 1 card from the deck. Then again, like, I understand that it's limited, you know, like it's always been. but it's better to have this in the deck, because if you actually do happen to get out any of your branded fusion or any of your fusion monsters that allow you to fusion summon as well, this card just comes in handy when trying to use that, because you get a mill, basically dump one of your materials from your to use for Dragoon, and then using branded fusion you get a dump a second one from Dragoon, and I'll get into that a little bit later on. But that's basically the only reason why we run it. We run card destruction basically for draw power. I was running Pot of Avarice as well, but Pot of Avarice just became a little too complicated, so we just kept the one card of destruction, which actually does help out because you get to basically mill your entire opponent's hand as well. But sometimes it is a little bit stupid to be using. And then we are running 2 quick launch. Now I know what you're thinking. Why the hell are you running that in an albaz deck? Well, it's just something that I threw in for spice. And this just basically came to my mind when I realized that I still had a Tracer Rocket and a Magna Rocket. And I thought to myself, I'm like, well, I have 2 quick launches. If I want to get out my Synchro monster really, really quickly, this card comes in handy. And that's all for the spells. Going into the trap cards, we do run 3 Destruction Sword Memories because it's just basically a quick way to get out Buster Blader if you need him out on the quicks. And at the same time, it's also another way to fusion summon for your fusion Buster Blader. And there's a little thing you can do with the next card I'm about to show you that uses this, or that you can use to send this to the graveyard, which I'm about to show you that right now. Next, we're running your 3 Prologue of the Destruction Swordsman. Now, basically, this helps you get out your Buster Dragon out on the quicks by sending 1 Buster Blader card. Notice how I said card, not like 1 Buster Blader monster. It has to have Buster Blader in the name, and 1 Destruction Sword card. So basically, you can use your other Buster Blader monster, the one that we said doesn't count as a Buster Blader unless on the field or in the graveyard. But basically, this card, if you mill this one with your Destruction Sword Memories and a Buster Blader, and you already have a Dragon monster in the graveyard, you just set yourself up to make the lockdown on the extreme quicks, and your opponent just sits there like, what the heck? Then we're running 1 Destruction Sword Flash, only due to the fact that this card actually allows you to, basically, when you set it down, you just get the ability to banish all monsters your opponent controls while you control a Fusion Buster Blader or a Fusion monster that lists Buster Blader as material. And at the same time, if it's in your graveyard and your opponent, or when a card or effect is activated that targets a Buster Blader monster, you basically get to banish this card from your graveyard and negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. Which is all entirely good because, well, who's going to argue with that? You know, that just helps out so much, and your opponent just sits there like, well, that's a negate and just a way to just disrupt my plays. So that is the entire 40 card deck. Yes, that is 40. I know it doesn't really look like it, didn't really seem like it, but that actually is 40. Moving on to the extra deck, you are running 1 Protector Whelp, only because of the fact that, well, it just helps extend your combos. If you don't already know what this card does, check out some of my previous videos where I've actually used this card, or I've actually shown this card and explained it. Then you run 3, and I keep it at 3 all the time. I've seen people run it at 2, I've seen people run it at 1, I say 3. Because it's an essential part of the deck. Basically, this card, your Buster Dragon, you get if you don't already control a Buster Blader monster while this card is on the board, special summon a Buster Blader to the field from your graveyard. During your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you get to target 1 Destruction Sword card from your, or is it Destruction Sword card? Oh, Destruction Sword monster, my bad. You're going to target 1 Buster Blader monster you control, equipped it with a Destruction Sword card from your graveyard. That, however, is extremely good. But what really strikes it out is that when this card hits the board, all monsters your opponent controls become dragons. And you'll probably be thinking to me like, will probably be asking me, why is that even any good? If you know anything about Buster Bladers, you'll know that this is a deck that basically earned the nickname You Play Yu-Gi-Oh. We are running one Billsy of the Diabolical Dragons, only because he is one of the best wall monsters you could ever have. And not only that, but he gains attack. He gains attack equal to the damage that you have taken as effect damage or battle damage. As for one of your best negates, you have you basically have you okay? You okay? Yeah, you're okay. You basically quick effect. You can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of this turn. Perfect. Helps out with a lot. But at the same time, when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target one tuner in your graveyard, special summon it back to the board. Now, that is extremely good. I don't know why a lot of people don't really run this as a staple card and try to use it to their advantage, but this is actually an extremely good card, and just the fact that hardly anybody runs it or doesn't run it unless it's in the Link Dragon stuff, it's extremely, I don't know. I want to say it's extremely stupid. You run two Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, mainly because this card gains an additional 1,000 attack and defense for each dragon your opponent controls on their field and in their graveyard. Ah! Yeah, no, basically with this card, he also turns all monsters or all dragons your opponent controls to defense position, and then turns all dragon monsters into defense position, and then just basically negate, well, they cannot activate their abilities anymore. So that actually does help out in so many ways that and then again, at the same time, this card does deal piercing battle damage to dragon monsters, or actually does piercing battle damage in general. So it's never really wise to leave a monster with 0 defense on the board. You're running one Albion. Just basically this card allows you to fusion one level 8 or lower fusion monster from your X deck, except Albion himself, by banishing materials mentioned on it from your hand, field, and or graveyard. Banishing fusion materials on it from during the end phase if this card is sent to the graveyard, and so it basically gives you the ability to fusion summon by banishing, and then during the end phase of, hold on, let's see if we can get it right here. During the end phase, if this card is sent to the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add one. I'm sorry guys, I'm gonna have to read this off screen. You can add to your hand or set one branded spell or trap card directly from your deck. You can only use each effect of Albion the branded dragon once per turn. That actually comes in handy because you basically get the ability to fusion by banishing, and it helps out way more than you would actually think. The next few cards we really don't play, but sometimes we might. There's the Brigade Dragon, the Bright Grand, the Glory Dragon, and we're basically we only use this card for Mirror Jade's ability. I hardly ever use this card, but if I ever find a use for it, I'll let you know in another video. As well as we do that with Titaniclad, the Ash Dragon, and Sprint, the Iron Dash Dragon. I haven't really personally messed with them, but I know that they're really good cards to be using. And of course, like I said before, I mainly only use them for I mainly only use Noah. Stop it. Hey, I'm gonna leave you in there with your auntie. Hold on, guys, real quick. I'm sorry, guys, if you made it this far into the video. I've been pausing the video because my nephew is constantly demanding my attention. So, you know how babies are. They're adorable. They demand a lot of attention, and there is big news about me and Arakashi later, a little bit towards the end of this video. But again, like I said, if I could find something to do with these three dragons or find a way to actually utilize them, then I will. But other than that, they're just basically there for Mirror Jade's ability. One of the cards that I go into the most is Lubellion, the Searing Dragon, and mainly because when you bring this card out, or when it's fusion summoned, you can discard one card and bring out another fusion monster by using materials that are listed on it. By shuffling monsters into the deck that are listed on that card. So basically, if you want to bring out your Fusion Buster Blader, this card helps you out. If you want to bring out Dragoon, this card can also help you out. Just like Albion. Like Albion does, this card does, but this card can actually shuffle the cards from your hand, field, graveyard, and banish zone, if I recall correctly. By shuffling materials mentioned on it from the deck, from your monsters on the field, graveyard, or base or face up banished cards. So that basically means that you have the cards face up banished. This card helps you. If they're in your field or in your graveyard, shuffle them back into the deck. You fuse out that monster that you're looking for. And then again, the only material to bring out this card is one Dark Monster and one Fallen of Albaz. So you can kind of see why I go into that more than Albion, when Albion requires one Fallen of Albaz and one Light Monster. You kind of get the gist, but that's actually kind of funny because I realized something. Albion is a Dark Monster and it requires a Light Monster. And then Lubellion is a Light Monster and it requires a Dark Monster. How interesting and funny is that? Moving on, we are running one Mirror Jade the Ice Blade Dragon. And the reason why I hardly ever have to bring this guy out is because I'm normally winning before I have to. But the main reason why we run him is because of the fact that you can ban it. You can only control one of this. You can only control one Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon, once per turn. Quick effect: if you can send one fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material, banish one monster on the field. Also, this card cannot use this effect next turn. If this fusion summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls during the end phase of this turn. So basically, your opponent gets rid of this card. Guess what? Goodbye to all your monsters at the end of the turn. Oh, and at the same time, just basically like I was telling you before. Hold on. These three get banished. Can be sent to the graveyard just for this guy's material. That's the only reason why I use the three. I don't know if there's any other use for them, and I'm pretty sure there is in certain occasions, but that's the only reason why we use that. And as for the last card that we run is none other than Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. If you don't already know by now, you should, but Dragoon is just basically a negate, and if you use two normal monsters to bring them out, you can destroy You can use the effect up to 2 times that turn and destroy one of your opponent's monsters, and they take damage equal to that monster's attack. Ha! And that is actually the entire 15 card deck, or extra deck. Sorry, I know this video is a lot longer than expected, but please bear with me. We're going into the side deck now. We do run 1 Ash Blossom and 2 Effect Veiler for the hand traps. Just because anytime you need a hand trap, it comes in handy. Like I said, we are citing citing one of Wizard Buster and 1 Robot Buster, only due to the fact that if we need the extras, we can put them in. We are citing 1 Called by the Grave, only due to the fact that this card is actually pretty good. You just basically, like, your opponent uses something that they needed, and they're hoping to use it again that turn. Just ability, nope. We do side 1 World Legacy Guard Dragon, only due to the fact that it helps you bring back level 4 or lower Dragon type monster from your graveyard when it is activated. So that actually does become pretty handy in certain cases, whether a lot of people like to admit it or not. Though I am thinking of bumping this in my side deck up to 3. We do run 3 Dark Ruler No More, just to basically say, okay, you cannot activate your abilities, period. And that's just that. We are citing 1 Red Reboot and 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance, only due to the fact that 3 Anti-Spell Fragrances, if my opponent's still running Pendulum Monsters, good luck. And Red Reboot just to negate summons. I think it negates summons. Hold on, I have hardly ever used this card. Basically just negate traps, and when your opponent activates a trap card, negate the activation. If you do, set that card face down. Then you can set 1 other trap directly from their deck. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, your opponent cannot activate traps. Then you can activate this card from your hand by paying, you can activate this card from your hand by paying half your life points. So it's either you set it, pay nothing, or activate it from your hand and pay half. And then we are citing 1 Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. The only reason why we're citing it is just basically burn damage. That's the only reason. And then, just basically for basically only for that burn damage. Anyway, that's all for the deck list, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy my new deck that I had been working on for the longest. I'm sorry that it took me that long. And as for other news, I know you guys haven't really gotten the chance to hear about this, but Arakashi is pregnant with a 2nd child. And the first child that we had was a girl, and this time around we were hoping and praying for a little boy. And if you guys follow us on Facebook, please go check out her Facebook page. She had done a live stream on it, and we got a boy. Finally, guys. So I'll keep you guys up to date as much as I can on that. And we're basically going to name him after her cousin, so he's going to have the name of Michael Alexander Cavazos, but we're going to add Robert at the end to make my mom happy. But other than that, his full name should be Michael Alexander Robert Cavazos. Sounds a little weird, but, you know, it might get used to it later on. Anyway, that's all for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you made it this far, please leave a thumbs up. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already subscribed to my channel. And I'll see you guys back here next time. Bye.